And we're back for another NFL Print Factory show, talking the divisional round matchups here. Got the full crew with me, the Print Factory crew, Big T, ODB, this way, just waking up from his 2-hour nap from playing poker all night just to be with the full crew today. So can't wait to talk these divisional round games. ODB, I'll bring you right in here for a sec. Before I do that, everyone hit the like button on the video, as this is a free show. We appreciate that like button being hit, thumbs up, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, you get notifications every time this show goes live, which we've got 3 free shows on this channel today. Just today, we've got 3 free shows. We got NFL right now. We got NBA at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then we got the MMA show at 8 with me and Dan breaking down the big 311 fight card for tomorrow's fight. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. ODB, what's going on, man? I know you just woke up from your nap. How you feeling?
Yeah, just played poker till about 4 a.m. and then I woke up to, take a pee and get ready and go back to sleep. And I text Tony, I'm like, "We doing a show tonight?" He's like, "Yeah, 20 minutes." I'm like, "Oh, I guess we're locked into this earlier time slot now." So here I am, commitment. Committed to, the show, the boys, the brand, the Chiefs hater nation. We got to all unite.
Well, the people at least appreciate the commitment that you have to the show. The people love ODB on this show, so we couldn't
Why
have this
wouldn't
show
you?
without ODB. So
What's not to love
we're
about
glad.
ODB?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not saying that you're perfect or anything like that, but we've gotten to know each other over the last few years, and I enjoy doing this show with you now. I can't say I always enjoy it, but that's just the fights, So it's the same thing with Tony. Like, listen, I do shows with Tony all the time. There's some shows where we go at it, and but I enjoy the shows, not all the time, but that's what it is, Big T. Sometimes, you get into scuffles, but the people love this show, I think, because we do get into arguments, because we all have different takes. We don't always agree, and it's fun for people to see different takes and be on different sides. So we can get back the next week in shit talk, which is the best part.
The people in life in all areas, poker, I've been poker first, and DFS now, shows, life. The people I get along good with are the people that I can talk trash to. They can talk trash to me. We don't get our feelings hurt. We those are the people I get along with. The people I don't get along with are the ones that you can't do that with. So that's why I like doing the show with these guys. We'll win some, we'll lose some, we'll take wins, we'll take losses, but we always come back to the drawing board.
Well, let's do that real quick. Let's recap before we get into these games here. Let's quickly recap last week. I have the full bracket that everyone did from last week's show. If you didn't watch last week's show, at the end of the show, we kind of went through the entire playoffs. We picked, the entire playoffs the way we see it happening, obviously. And, since we got one round out of the way, I always like to kind of go back and see it. And I know for me, I got 2 games like really wrong. I was on the Chargers side. Houston just dismantled them, especially their defense. And then I was on the Packers, and honestly, I'm more mad at the Chargers one, but the Packers one I'm not as mad about, because I thought those were 2 of the best NFC teams, and I thought the Packers had a chance. Like, the Eagles got that fumble early, and that gave them a touchdown drive. Outside of that, for like 3 quarters, the Eagles did nothing. And the Packers defense was amazing. So was the Eagles defense. They were both amazing. And that touchdown drive was a huge part of that game. Some field goals missed, obviously, but they were just 2 really good football teams. And I thought they matched up really well. And the Eagles were just a little better. And so, yeah, that's what happens. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But those are my 2 biggest losses. Biggest wins, though, my Bills just absolutely rolling on Denver. And then my Rams were my 2 heaviest bets of the weekend. And outside of the Packers, it was the Packers, the Rams, and the Bills were my 3 big bets. And so I got 2 and 1 of my big bets. ODB, how did your bets do this weekend? Anything big for you?
I mean, my biggest games kind of split. I mean, my biggest game was the Packers. Packers and the Ravens were my 2 biggest games. I just like the physicality here in, January. Biggest loss was definitely big fucking L on Sam Darnold and the Vikes. Really didn't see that one coming. I'm going to take the L on the Broncos. Kind of got forced into taking them straight up, but I did think that they would be competitive. And I did think that they would, cover the number and have a chance to win. And I just, my overall sentiment on my 2 losses this week were that those 2 teams both just quit, and very disappointing. I really don't like quitting teams. I don't like coaches who quit. And the Broncos played blow for blow with the Bills for the first half. Missed a field goal to tie the game at half. They were one ridiculous catch by Ty Johnson that somehow got his foot in. I mean, it wasn't even a good play. It wasn't even a good. It was a terrible play call. It was not a good pass. It was just happened to be, he just caught it. But I mean, it was going to be 13-7. Broncos were going to have the ball. But my overall sentiment was the Broncos just freaking quit, which was kind of crazy because Bo Nix put the ball where he's supposed to. He either completed passes or the receivers dropped the football. They were in that game, and then they get down 2 scores, and it's run, pass with a team that cannot run the football. I've watched the Broncos every game. I watch every game, every week, every team. I always find it funny, these shows I listen to, and it's like, oh, I watched that game. It's like, yeah, no shit. I watch every fucking game. Like I'm watching a show and you're like, oh, I saw that on Red Zone, or what are you doing? Like your job is to talk about football. Watch the fucking football games. Anyway, a little aside, but I watch every Broncos play and game. And the one thing we know is they cannot run the football. They have complete ass cheeks at running back. And the one thing the Bills can do is stop the run. One thing that the Broncos can do is throw the football in the middle of the field. They got big receivers. One thing the Bills can't do is stop the pass. So what do? Run, pass, down 14 points. I don't understand what Peyton did. That was very disappointing. And obviously we all saw the Vikings literally just put the balls in the bag and leave the field at halftime. They didn't bother to come back out there, just trying to run the clock out, using 45 seconds, down 2 touchdowns, running the football, take another 40 seconds. So those were my losses. You bet on teams and they quit. That's the most disappointing thing. Like, I don't mind. I would much rather, I switched off of Houston and onto the Chargers. Wasn't a big play or anything because I love the Texans in general. But, I don't mind Justin Herbert's performance. I don't mind the Chargers' performance. They tried. They could have lost by a touchdown or 2 touchdowns and quit like these other 2 teams. But I don't know. I want my team going out with a fight. Like, give yourself at least a chance. So I'm not that mad about the Chargers one. It is what it is. That game just kind of steamrolled the other way. But I am really mad at the 2 teams I bet on that quit. I hate fucking quitters.
So a couple things first of all, saying that the reason why Denver lost was because they quit and the play calling. That's some of the reason, but the reason they lost was because the Bills dominated the line of scrimmage. Dominated it. Like it didn't matter if the play calling was a little different. The Bills were winning that game no matter what, because they could do what Denver couldn't. They could do the 8-minute drive whenever they wanted to and just hold the ball, and I think it kind of threw the rhythm off of Denver's play calling, their offense in general, and it got them just out of this flow. They got that quick touchdown too, which I'm not saying hurt them. Obviously, it's great to get a quick touchdown, but then they're off the field for like 8 minutes. Bills get a field goal. They come out. It's like a 3-and-out quick, I think. And then the Bills get the ball back. Then it's another like 8-minute drive and they score. That stuff just throws the rhythm off of everything from an offensive standpoint. From the play calling.
That just was never a surprise to me. I knew that the Bills were going to score. The Broncos defense,
did know that they were going to dominate the line of scrimmage and run the football like that.
The Broncos defense has been a complete fraud all year. They get rated high, they get talked about high because they have made some of the most insane, great splash plays and highlight plays that I've ever seen. Bonito and Surtain and Allen and these guys, they just wrecked it and made some like outstanding plays. But if you actually watch the games, teams just move the ball up and down at will on them. That didn't surprise me. I just, I'm just going back to
I refuse to believe that it didn't surprise you that they held the ball for multiple 8-minute drives. I refuse to believe that that didn't surprise you.
Fine, but I mean, I predicted the score was going to be like 31-27 or something. I mean, what the Bills did was fine. I mean, it's just the quitting on my part.
Okay.
Let's bring in the fucking star of the show. JSU, we're 11 minutes in. We haven't heard one fucking thing from the star.
First of all, before we even get to the star of the show, one of the favorite parts of this show is me and you fighting. So we got to get one out of the way.
What do you think? Was that game more an indictment on the Broncos quitting or the Bills dominating?
Come on, I forgot you're on Denver too.
I already had this argument with JSU too, where I agreed with JSU on the other show that they dominated the line, but I mean Buffalo had not that many points though. Like you take away the foot out of bounds and the fluke play to Samuel, and they got like 20. Like. The problem was Denver couldn't move the ball, so I kind of agree in the middle of you guys. Like, I think Denver's defense was decent enough. They just couldn't do anything on offense. They couldn't move. And like you said, Sean Payton running the ball up the middle. Like, unleash the guy, even if you lose. Like, I hated how they lost. And again, I said the same thing to JSU on the other show. I'm not saying Denver wasn't the right side.
Yeah,
Buffalo
I'm not saying
the right side, but I still wasn't like that impressed with Buffalo. I just was Denver sucked.
That's fair. Hey, your takeaway can be I'm still not as impressed with the Bills, but Denver they were way worse than I even thought. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying
they beat
though,
nobody all
I
year.
refuse
when
to
this happens though, you look and it's like, were they ever good? They didn't beat anybody. Who'd they beat? They didn't beat
I tried to go through the schedule with you guys and you weren't having it. Like I tried.
But I mean, I actually had a really good weekend. Like fantasy, I did really good each day. Bets, I did good. The only games I lost were just the big dogs that I took. Like Denver was a big dog. I lost. Who was the other one?
Green Bay.
I liked, and they definitely. I mean, I agreed with what you guys said. It was similar, honestly. Like they just couldn't do anything on offense. Their
were you on the Rams or the Vikings? I can't remember which side.
No, I love the Rams. I was heavy on them because I said the Vikings they were exposed the week before. Detroit.
Right. It was a game I couldn't really remember.
I was on the Rams, so I hit those. I was on all the dogs. But I like Baltimore to win.
I think we all like Washington. Did we all like Washington?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no take on that game. I couldn't decide. I liked Washington, but I ended up just taking. I just took the over in that game, and I feel like I wasn't even close to winning, but I felt also that I was the right side. I mean, the teams never punted. Great job just going fucking first down. So I kind of felt okay, but whatever.
But
I lost.
You didn't have a real take on that one, but
that was the only game I didn't pick.
Yeah, so we were definitely on Washington.
The most tilting part of the whole freaking weekend for me was that Franklin touchdown thing on Saturday where I got beat because of freaking Samuel. Like Samuel of all people takes my touchdown thing away. It would have paid a good chunk too, I think. And then at least I seen the one dude in chat talked about it, but on the one show we went on a long tangent about this.
It was
right
the
here,
showdown
Rams.
show. It was
So we
the
got
showdown
revenge
show.
a little bit. It wasn't as big of a payout, but still $5 in the 365. They're doing it again this weekend, both days too. So we got to find some winners again for that.
And we clarified like how to take both defenses, right, Tony? Because you couldn't just bet. You had to like do the first touchdown with both defenses. So we like clarified that and went through the whole thing. So hopefully some people watching took that bet.
Tons of people. I got so many messages.
I got some messages
awesome.
too.
That was awesome.
I got some messages too. So I'm glad that some people got on it with us and hit that bet. But they're bringing it back this weekend. So I don't know. Maybe at the end we go through it real quick and see if we can find a gem for the people again at the end of the show. Yeah. But the Rams were definitely like one of my biggest stands of the week. I can't believe that people were betting Sam Darnold over the GOAT Matthew Stafford. That was just the biggest gift of all.
No one likes Stafford more than you. God,
it's true. It's true. I'm a Stafford homer, so a little bit. But the defense, Tony, we saw the Lions defense the week before just show out.
Got exposed for sure,
big time. I mean, that first drive, I was like, "Oh, this dude is a deer in headlights."
What do you do with him now, though? Like, what do you do with Sam Darnold?
It's going to be JJ McCarthy season. It's going to be JJ McCarthy season.
It's crazy that we were just saying MVP 2 weeks ago.
It's great. That's just how quick it can happen. But
man,
I wonder
so bad the last.
How much money do you think he lost himself the last 2 weeks?
I can't even. I mean, infinite.
Like
so bad the last 2 weeks.
Like $50 million. Like, do you think someone was going to give him
someone was going to give him a max deal? Absolutely.
Like $100 million? Like, was someone going to give him that?
He was going to get a max deal, guaranteed.
God. I feel, I mean, he's still probably rich, so I don't feel that bad for him, but that does suck. Like,
he got exposed. Like, they exposed him.
And that dude, Jared Verse, is looking like he might be like the best rookie of that class. That dude is a beast. Like, already getting
the Florida State guy, right?
I don't know. I can't tell you 100%.
He was on that undefeated team, I think.
What was he? He's a friggin' monster, though. I mean, he was getting like chipped too, and right away you could tell that they had no answer for him, and they needed help on that side because he was getting pressure like whenever he wanted. Whenever he got one-on-ones, he was getting pressure on drop back. So.
The Vikings got absolutely rolled and worked and lost and had no chance. But on that 4th and 2 at the end of the first half, 4th and 2, if you go back and you look at that play, Darnold, they're at like midfield. They're down 17-3. They score a touchdown. They get the ball to come out the second half. 4th and 2, Darnold goes back. He gets sacked, and Verse fucking jumps. And he literally just jumps on him in a wrestling move, and the ref's sitting right there watching the play. What if that was Patrick Mahomes? The
picture of it's hilarious too.
If that was Patrick Mahomes, he would get 15. They might just award him a touchdown. They might not even make him play any more plays. They might.
If that was Patrick Mahomes, there'd be flags flying from all different angles, like from the backside, the front side.
The ref just sat there and goes, "You know what? You deserve that." That was, I mean,
the same thing happened to Jaden Daniels on the sideline.
I said it with the Jaden Daniels thing. Dude, that one on the sideline, ODB, I mean, you can't tell me Pat Mahomes ain't drawing a flag with that exact same hit, the exact same way it was, the way he kind of like spun to
airborne.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't even know, like the ref in that game. I mean, it wasn't going to change it. But it would have been a lot more fun if they had, if they were able to get out into the half at 17-6 or 17-10 and be able to,
So
I didn't understand that lack of call. Like, what was that? No call. It was weird.
Before we get to this week, what was the most dominating win from these winning teams? Was it the Ravens against the Steelers? Was it the Bills against Denver? Or was it the Rams against the What was the one that most impressed you guys?
Houston whopped the Chargers.
Okay, so that was the most impressive one for you?
I thought Houston and the Rams were the two by far. I wasn't that impressed with Baltimore and Buffalo. They were fine. They got the job done. But I thought, me personally, it was Houston and the Rams. As far as dominant, I thought
it was
Washington was awesome, but
I
it was a
thought
good
it was
game.
the Bills and the Rams, and it
You
wasn't even
love
close.
the Bills. Like, you are so happy
No,
with
I
your
don't.
Bills.
We're gonna get to that game, Tony.
They were barely even winning. Like it.
Timeout. Let's go through our Super Bowl matchups real quick. JSU, knowing that the Ravens would play the Bills in the second round, he has the Ravens in the Rams.
These are
JSU, you love the
Oh,
Bills. I
God.
mean, you just love the Bills here.
Oh.
No, it was dominating.
You
It
had
was
Buffalo over
dominating.
Denver. Like,
The most dominating game was the Ravens. The first half was a
the
complete.
Ravens.
I don't even feel like they tried in the second half.
Right, exactly. The first half, Lamar just whipped it out, and he just
check West Coast Jim. Got him up.
he just literally just put it right on TJ Watt's face. It was just like, I mean, it's like what was it, 28-0 or
though? Like, oh God.
Yeah, of course it was dominating, but it was partly because Pittsburgh was just awful. But I mean, the Ravens just, I mean, that half of football was just, I mean, it was honestly Jim Harbaugh, like, or John Harbaugh, it was rude. Like, you ran the ball you ran the ball 13 straight times down the throat for a touchdown. Like, it was just rude. Like, that was just mean. It was bully. He was just a straight out bully.
You could say Derrick Henry was the most dominating offensive player. I could go with that, maybe.
Well, what about Lamar? Lamar was, I mean, I don't know. That first half was like every other game. I'm like, oh, well, you know, if this play happens a little different, if this play happens, the first half, there was no play. It was not one play. It was just a literal just beat down, like just a beat down of the little kid in the schoolyard. The second half, like, yeah, whatever. He threw a few moonballs.
For domination, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, though. You got to take the whole game.
The Rams were pretty
stunk the Bills stunk in the first half. Like,
the Rams were pretty dominating. The Bills weren't dominating.
I think the Rams would have to be it for me. The more I think the Rams whooped that team.
The Rams were completely dominant.
Yeah, all around.
Too, they were an underdog, right? The Rams were a dog.
Oh, yeah,
if you're a
dog,
they were dog. You win like that, you just have to be.
They were slight dog, but it was like 2.5, 3. I think most of the week or something like. I think it got to 3. I don't know if it got past 3, but I think it got to 3 in some books. So, but yeah, they were a dog slight. So, all right, let's get to the games this week, boys. So I think so far, just looking at quickly our matchups and stuff like that, our Super Bowl hopes, thank God, are all still alive. All three of us, our Super Bowl matchups are still alive, so that's good. We didn't get a loser straight out of the gate from one side, but we'll go by the course of games here. We're going to talk a little bit of the 4-game slate too on DraftKings as we go through these games from a DFS side, and we'll obviously touch on the betting side as well for these games here. So we'll start with Saturday's slate of games. First game up on the docket here, Houston and Kansas City. It's an 8.5-point spread, 41.5 total on DK Sportsbook. Kansas City at home favored by 8.5. Tony, I'll throw this one to you first here. Houston, you said Houston was dominating. They dominated the Chargers, but they were dominating. Do you think they can carry that over to the Chiefs in Arrowhead this week?
Man, the freaking Chiefs in the playoffs. Oh, God. And now they get Houston. It just reminds me so much of all those Brady years where you just hate a team and then everything just falls their way every year. And then before you even know it, they're in the AFC Championship at home again, and then anything can happen. It just happens. And God, I wish I could pick Houston here. I really do. Like I look at it, they looked good last week, but it was against a bad team. The Chargers, are we really convinced they were any good? I don't know. They were fine. Harbaugh's a great coach. Like I'm confident in that. I'm confident he's going to make them better long term. But they just didn't have any weapons. I was impressed with Houston's defense, but their offense still looked pretty bad. The last 4 times these teams have played, Kansas City's kind of handled them. They've won 4 in a row. Even the one time they were up, 20-0, I want to say, in the first half or something crazy like that. Kansas City still came back and whooped them. I wish I could pick Houston. I really do. I can't go against Kansas City, I don't think. And it's a good teaser game. I know I've said all year that these teasers have got killed, but now we're in the playoffs. I think you can definitely tease the Chiefs below that 3. I have to take the Chiefs, but it's not a ton of conviction, though. I think Houston has enough defense. Kansas City doesn't really blow teams out like we've seen. I don't know. I could be talked into taking Houston plus the 8.5, but my actual bet will definitely be the Chiefs. Just tease it down to 2.5. And then fantasy on the 4-game slate and 2-game slate, I just won't be going here all that much. Like, we got awesome games. The Detroit game's awesome. Buffalo game's obviously awesome. So that's one thing I do good on these DFS slates, and why I think I did good last year. Or last week, I mean, not last year, last week, is just key the good spots. And just, if you miss a guy, you miss a guy. But like on the Saturday slate, if you just jam this Detroit game, you're going to win money. I don't think you need to get that creative playing this Kansas City team. Just let Kansas City win another ugly game and go with it. So I'm on the Chiefs to win, Chiefs teaser. Man, I think I'll take Houston plus the 8.5, though. Just Kansas City never blows people out. I think they could play them close.
All right, taking the Houston plus the 8.5. ODB, I think the bet here is the under, as opposed to the side. I think this game is a little lower.
I'm taking the Chiefs. I changed my mind before ODB picks. I'm picking the Chiefs still.
There you go.
Sucks. They probably suck.
Yeah, I think it's going to be different here. Not at home for Houston in Arrowhead. I don't like Houston. I mean, even to start that game, Houston didn't look great, and then their defense kind of got rolling, and Chargers were bad. But what are you doing here with Houston? Obviously, I know you like the Chiefs, so which side are you going with for the spread?
You coming back with Deontay this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
how is he still eligible for a ring? That's what I want to know.
I'm texting my buddy who lives in Houston. I lived in Houston for 20 years. My best friend from Houston, and as John Mechie is just dropping balls, I'm like, he texted me. He watched the show and he quoted my thing. He goes, "You can't run John Mechie out there every play." Quotation marks from basically what I said. And sure enough, I mean, they can run John Mechie out there. Deontay Johnson must literally be the worst human being in the world.
I think he is.
Like, to go for like 4 teams in 1 year that all were like, oh, you're a max contract guy. You know what? We'll give you up for free. I mean, Carolina said, "No, we don't want anything. Like, we'll exchange 6-round picks with you." And then Baltimore's like, no, you know what? Just go for free. Houston's like, no, go for free.
I mean, playoff teams with no receivers on top of it.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, this guy must be the biggest. I don't know what Mike Tomlin. He must put something in the food to get these guys absolutely crazy. Like, I don't know. Is this some sort of thing like that show Severance or whatever, where they, I don't know, they like drug him to like think that they're like these great receivers, and then these receivers figure it out, and then they just go crazy. I don't know. Something's going on there in Pittsburgh, because Le'Veon, AB, now Deontay, George Pickens, like these dudes are just absolutely crazy in Pittsburgh. I don't know. It's something's going on there. It's weird. There'll be a 30 for 30 in about 10 years about what Tomlin did to these guys. Anyway, slightly off track. I don't know, man. I don't want to lay a touchdown with the Chiefs. I don't trust their weapons. The Texans have really good cornerbacks, and they get pressure on the quarterback. I mean, I can see them. I mean, probably it's just going to be a Kelsey, Noah Gray type game. That's where you kind of beat the Texans, is the middle of the field. You're not going to beat them on the outside. So I don't know which receiver plays the slot between the Chiefs. That would probably be where I'm looking. I mean, Hollywood Brown is cheap is priced like free, and I need like a cheap guy. I put him in there for my hold spot, but I kind of feel like you want to go on the slot receiver for the Chiefs, just because Lassiter and Stingley kind of locked down the outside. So I could see if the Chiefs beat him, it being the slot guy. Same thing. That's kind of what the Chargers did. I mean, when Ladd beat him, he was in the slot. Quentin Johnson, 0 catches in that game. That being said, to the point of the game, everybody's here to hear me just shit on the Chiefs. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really trust the Chiefs to win by margin, but I mean, you got to give them the props. They figured out ways to win, and they figure out ways to get the best matchups and play the shittiest teams in the playoffs, so they don't only have to focus on one game in a month and a half. Meanwhile, Baltimore and Buffalo have to play this game and then go into Kansas City beaten up. Meanwhile, Kansas City is going to basically be off for a month and a half. So props to Casey again. See you in the Super Bowl, and congratulations. But I'm taking my official pick is Houston plus the points. I think that Kansas City wins, like kind of an ugly game, maybe a 19-16 type game. We know that Kansas City's not afraid to kneel it out or run the clock out at the end, not try to win by margin. You know that they don't really go for it a lot on 4th and 3. They're not the Lions or the Commanders. They'll take that field goal. They trust their kicker. They trust the defense. So yeah, I think this is a low-scoring, close game that Kansas City probably just finds a way to win like they always do. I would say probably bet, if you want props. I mean, you probably heard it on other shows if you listen to things, but I mean, Mahomes playoff rushing, it's always a whole different animal. He saves his legs for these moments. You're going to get a lot of pressure with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, and the outside cornerbacks for Houston's really good. So, he's going to escape a sack and run it like probably 5-6 different times. So you can play over attempts, over yards, everything with him. And that would be like the prop angle I'd go with. But Jay, so you find anything on who plays the slot? Who's the I think it's Worthy, but I'm not positive.
So week 17, the two guys that ran the most routes out of the slot, they actually ran the exact same amount of routes out of the slot, but Brown had a bigger percentage out of the slot. So Worthy and Brown were the two guys that ran the most from a receiver standpoint, because they obviously will line up, Travis Kelce in there a little bit. Juju, a lot of his routes when he was out of the slot, but the main guys were Hollywood. Brown got like one of the bigger shares, and Worthy. So they moved the guys around because, when D-Hop's in and Justin Watson, guys that are primarily outside. So I would say it's either Worthy or Brown. If you're playing one of those guys, it would be one of them.
I mean, Brown's free. He's 4,200 on the 4-gamer. I don't love him. Like Big T said, there's much better spots, but
the problem is they have so many receivers in
$4,200 guy. That's kind of what you're just gonna.
But I'm saying they have literally 5 receivers, not even counting the tight ends, that are gonna play.
Yeah. But this isn't the regular season. Hopkins had some contract thing where they had to give up a bigger pick if he played a certain percentage. Like, they only used him when they needed him. Hopkins is going to play 80% of the snaps in the playoffs.
He's not going to throw though. Like, they're going to just do what they do. They're not going to throw. Like that Detroit game, they're going to throw 3,000 times.
Yeah, well, what receiver is 4,200? And I guess you can play
Washington guys, Osby and
Brown. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not
dynamic
saying you can definitely play a Chiefs receiver 100%. You can.
I'm not advocating for it. I'm just trying to figure out which one, if it works for the construction of a game.
Listen, Worthy came on at the end of the season. He was getting some good volume at the end of the season.
I think you gave the winner already, though. ODB, it's Kelce. He's 5,000, and it's tight end. Tight end sucks.
Yeah.
All right, so defenses and maybe a pass catcher from the Chiefs, but nothing else for DFS from you guys. Either of you guys, no Nico, no Joe Mixon.
I mean, I think Nico's like a great tournament play, just because you saw last week what number 1 receivers can do. Ladd, even though they got whooped, Ladd was on all the winners because he just had a big game. You can always, and Mike Evans for that matter was on the winner because of the same thing. Number 1 receivers in these spots I think are really good plays. And don't get me wrong, on my main team, am I going to play Nico over Amon-Ra or McLaurin or these? No. But in a tournament, can you win a lot of money by playing Nico over them? Yeah.
Nobody's going to look at a 41 total in 18-degree weather
Yeah.
versus a team that you expect to not have the ball that much and say, oh, let me click the $7,500 receiver or whatever Nico is. Nico's going to be unowned. And look, if I'm Bobby Slowick and I'm CJ Stroud, I'm
Chuck it to
it's
him.
players over plays. So there's only one player on that field. I'm fucking going to force feed him one way or another. Nico's going to touch the ball 12 times in that game. So
he might house 2 of them. The more I think about it, the more he's a great play. Like on the Saturday,
he's definitely a great
I don't
tournament
think you can
play
go
for
to it on the full weekend, but Saturday only.
All right, there we go. Let's get to a much better game here. Sounds like we're all
Total's 2 touchdowns higher in this game too.
Yeah, much
2
better.
full
Yeah,
touchdowns.
exactly. I mean, when you get Washington versus Detroit, that's what you're going to get here. 8.5. I think the total or the spread came down a little bit. I think it was 9.5 a few days ago, I feel like, but
it's
50
still 9.5 or 10. I mean, it's 10 some places. Pinnacle's still 10.
So DraftKings Sportsbook is 8.5 right now.
It's the only one too. Everything else is 9.5. So if you want Detroit, right? And this is a perfect example, and it's a good show. You can tease Kansas City and Detroit below the 3, where when it's game time, Detroit could easily go off 9.5 or 10. That teaser won't be available. Right now on DraftKings, you can tease both of them. And just to throw it out, like Pinnacle has Kansas City higher too. So like you're getting a pretty sharp teaser there on those 2 teams. The only book that has Detroit 8.5 is DraftKings.
And if you like Washington, I'd be trying to get that 10 number. If you can get that 10 number,
don't bet it on DK. Wait for it.
Exactly. Wait for it. Try and get that.
Let me give you guys a tip on Pinnacle. When you're looking at the prices, don't look at the front page. Click the little button that opens it up, and then go down to the open up the thing where it has all the different lines, and then choose the one that has the juices the same. They just post the line, and they never actually update what the number that they show on that thing is. The line in the Lions game is 9. It's -108, -104. Like that's the line. That's the fair line Pinnacle. Because when you look at it and you're like, well, it's juice 123 or whatever, they're just moving the juice. So always when you're looking at Pinnacle, just when you want to just see what's the line compared to other markets, is Pinnacle, because Pinnacle is usually ahead of some of the other markets. So I like to use Pinnacle as to see where I think it's going to go and the rest of the markets are going to go. I look and I see right now that -9 is juiced fairly on both sides. So that's kind of what I use when I'm like booking non-juice action versus friends or something like that. I open it up and I'm like, well, what's the line closest to 0 on both sides? And right now it's 9. So that's the line I use. It's 9.
And they're always going to protect against those teasers. They just are the sharper.
Yeah,
bucks
exactly.
Want to, so they're going to leave it at 9 rather than 8.5 just because the teasers.
Yeah, that line's never going below teaser number. I'm actually surprised that the Chiefs that they haven't just held it at 9, because the Chiefs are especially the Chiefs are the front end of all the teases. Like it seems
like they're playing with fire for sure, but all year they've lost is the thing. So they're probably not as scared, but it does feel like they're messing with fire for sure.
There's going to be so many teasers with Kansas City, Detroit, and Ohio State. Some combination.
Yeah, so many.
Yes, it's on. It just feels like one of those teams somehow loses, but it does seem hard to see one of those teams.
Yeah, which one?
Yeah, exactly. All right, ODB, while we're here, I mean, the total's 55.5. Like we said, much better than the first game here. Obviously, it's going to be a better fantasy game. But first off, do you like a side in this game? Or do you like the Lions? If so, you're probably betting more on DraftKings with that 8.5 number. Or do you like Washington?
Yeah, I'm on the Lions. This is the one side that this is one of the couple sides that I actually feel pretty good about. When the line came out, I was like, whoa, that's big. I'm probably going to like the Commanders, but the more I think about it and the more I look into it, like the defense that Washington runs, the Lions have just destroyed that type of defense. I don't really see how Washington getting stops. And I do kind of like the fact that both these coaches are extreme high variance coaches. So they're going to go for it on fourth down. They're not going to kick field goals. When you have a big spread, like I kind of like to invite the variance. Like in the Chiefs game, this is the same spread, and you kind of need a perfect play out for the Chiefs to win there. Here, you don't really need a perfect play out. You could use the same thing for the Commanders, but Detroit's not kneeling it out. Detroit's gonna go for it on fourth down. Washington's gonna go for it on fourth down, and yes, Washington's been very, very good on fourth down, but there's been a lot of luck. They have run really, really, really good on fourth downs. So all you need to do is stop them once or twice, and you're going to get the ball in good position. I think this is a super high scoring game from a Detroit standpoint. I think this game kind of runs 45-27 or something. I think Detroit gets the job done. This home field advantage is gonna be insane. These tickets are going for insane amounts of money. I'm actually scheduled to go to Detroit if they play for the championship game. So I'll be there. I'm supposed to be going to Detroit for the championship. I can't wait to see that environment. So I need Detroit to finish it off here and go and get in that atmosphere. That atmosphere is going to be insane there. I think, fantasy wise, just stack anything you want in this game. I don't really know who or how or which one to fade, but definitely not fading Gibbs because Montgomery's back. That's for sure. Gibbs is the man, and he's priced like not even the number one running back. I mean, he was my first click for sure. Gibbs in the dome scoring 45 points. I'm all in on Gibbs. I'm definitely not fading that guy.
All right. Tony, Tim in the chat. He is wishing that the Bengals made the playoffs, beat Mahomes. I think he's not the only one who's wishing that happened. But, unfortunately they didn't. Chat was asking earlier too, when we're talking about the Bengals, it's became the thing on the show. We got to have a quick Bengals segment. So if you want to say anything quick about the Bengals, how they would have beaten the Chiefs or the Bills or the Ravens or whoever, go for it. And then give me a breakdown on this Washington-Detroit game, which seems like an awesome game.
Yeah, we had our fun with the Bengals last week. I don't need to talk about it anymore. I mean, they would have been – I guarantee they'd been a lot better game than the Steelers and the friggin' Broncos, though, if they threw them out there. But,
I know that.
This game's awesome. This game is the game of the weekend. I know we like Baltimore, Buffalo as far as real-life football, absolutely. But as far as fantasy, this game's just – I agree totally with ODB. I mean, I think we see a crazy high game, like 45-31, 45-27, like – I think Detroit pushes 50 for sure in this game. They're going to score every trip, and they're going to go for – both teams are going to go for it on fourth. Both teams know they need to score. Washington's going to go just as much. So, I mean, I think this game's amazing. And for that reason, I think it's just a freebie fantasy-wise. I know people are going to stack this game, obviously, but they're not going to just full overstack it, and I think you just do that. Play Kansas City's defense or even Houston's defense, because Houston's defense is in play at that price with the pressure they get, and then play maybe one other guy like a Nico or whoever you want to play, and then just full jam, just everybody in there, and just enjoy your points. It'll be fun to root on too. And honestly, I think you can do it with the 4 game too. I think you can just full slam this game because the prices are really good. I mean, Jaden's awesome. I'll talk about Washington first, but Jaden's awesome. McLaurin's turned into a just dominant number one. He gets so many targets. Detroit has no answer for him. He's going to crush. And then OZ and Diami, they both Diami was last week. OZ could be this week. They're both right around 4K. Zach Ertz has been good. You got Eckler in a trailing script, should catch some dump offs. He's a good play. I mean, these are just really, really good plays. And then the Detroit side, I agree again with ODB. I wish I didn't, but I mean, it's impossible not to play Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, he looks so good. He's so good, and he's in the perfect atmosphere. It's a little annoying that Montgomery's back, but maybe that helps us ownership wise. He's still good. Gibbs he's just so good. Like, you have to play him. And these guys J-Mo's got a ton of upside. Laporta's obviously a solid tight end play. I mean, it's just an awesome game. It's everything about it I like. And as far as the number, like we talked about, I know I'm taking a little bit of a cop-out, but this is a wagering show. I just like the teaser right now on DraftKings. It might not be, if you're watching this on Saturday or Sunday, it might not still be there. And probably for good reason it's not. Because just for example, I want to look it up, but if you money line parlay these two, what are the odds? Just out of curiosity. Just the two.
Which two?
Just the 2 Saturday games. If you take the Chiefs and the Lions money line, it's
You're
minus
213.
If you tease it, it's minus 130. I think. Let me put it in and make sure. DraftKings. If you tease it on there, minus 120. You're getting 100 cents of equity, assuming it doesn't fall 1 or 2, which obviously it could, especially these days when teams go for 2. But you're getting 100 cents of equity to tease it right now on DraftKings. That's my bet of the weekend. I know it's chalky. I do, and I like Ohio State in it. So I talk about Chalk City. Totally agree with ODB. Everybody in the universe is betting that 3-team teaser. Everybody. I can't disagree with it, though, because I think all 3 of them win, and one of them will probably lose because it's the way it's gone. But you're telling me I can take both of these teams at minus 120, and then I'll say the exact odds just because it is a wagering. So if we pop Ohio State in there too, plus 160, all 3 of them, plus 160, minus 2.5, all 3 of them, absolutely love it. If I had to pick a spread, which we do, I think I'm still taking Detroit. I do feel like there's no way Detroit and Kansas City win by double digits, but I also feel like I got a better chance to win both, playing both favorites than kind of splitting and maybe I don't know. It's one of those weird gambling things. I'm just going to bet the teaser, though, is what I'm actually betting.
All right. So you guys are on the Lions with the spread, right? So both you guys are going to take the 8.5 on DraftKings, I assume, because that's.
And I'm definitely taking the over.
I'm just laying any number you want. Lay alts, lay everything. Let's go. Go find some alt numbers. If you do like Detroit, Washington, you can lay some more.
I think that Washington keeps this within a touchdown, because what's going to happen here in this game is, like you guys have been saying, both teams are going to be aggressive, especially knowing the Lions offense. I mean, Washington's not even going to think about it, which, to their credit, and I've been talking about this all year with Washington, that is the reason why they got there. And ODB said a little lucky. I mean, maybe, but maybe also the way their offense is run with Jaden and the style that they get. It's not like they're going for 4th and 7s constantly. It's always 4th and 1, 2-ish most of the time. And they're just so hard to deal with because Jaden, with his ability to run, you got the RPOs. It's just defenses struggle to stop it. So you're saying it's fluky, but I think it's just a really tough cover when you know that you're doing it. Some teams, it's the game plan. Like the Lions, it's the game plan. Hey, we get 4th and short, we're going for it. That is when it's not the game plan is when teams more struggle. I think when teams going knowing that's their style, it's not as fluky because they're already thinking about it. They know before the game, this is what we're doing. These are our play call sheets for those scenarios. Whereas some teams, it's more just oh, should we go for it? I've seen coaches call timeouts to think about if they're going to go for shit like that. And it's no, that's not what these coaches are going to do. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see some longer drives with these teams because of that style, especially Washington, though. Detroit, they'll probably have a few more big plays than Washington, but I think you could see some long sustaining drives from Washington that kind of keep this game within a touchdown, because I think both defenses are very gettable. I know we just saw the Lions whoop the Vikings, but then we just saw the Rams dominate the Vikings. So I don't know. Are we putting a huge, their defense is all of a sudden just amazing or something like that? And I've seen Washington's offense, at least, score points on a lot of defenses. I'm just going to trust what I've seen. And I think Detroit's defense is okay, but I don't think they're amazing. And I know that Washington's offense is going to give a lot of defenses in the NFL problems. So give me Jaden in that team to cover this spread. They've got good playmakers. Tony talked about Terry McLaurin, who's just a complete stud out there, makes tough catches constantly. I feel like he's just such an underrated receiver that people are finally starting to see get credit. He's always playing. He plays through everything. Just a tough guy. And then they've got these other guys that are starting to come up and get better, and people are starting to see it with Zacchaeus and Diami Brown last week. It was Zacchaeus like the week before, 2 weeks ago. Like, they've got some decent other guys. Zach Ertz has been solid for the team, good veteran. And then they got Eckler back, which I definitely think he's a huge piece, maybe not from a fantasy side, but from keeping this game, close. I think he's going to be a huge piece to it with Detroit, who most teams can't run on. So him catching out of the backfield, which, by the way, Tony, he hit the number and you said he wasn't going over. So fuck you. He got over his number. Austin Eckler. Remember we fought about it and you were like, he's the one that's not going to hit in the parlay that we had.
He didn't do anything either. How did he hit his number? He didn't do anything.
He hit his number in like the third quarter, I think, too. I don't think he did much after that play, but yeah, he hit his number.
How did he hit it when he had 26 yards?
Because it was 22 and a half or 23 and a half, whatever it was. So
he was terrible. If you just asked me, I would have said he went under for sure. I'm glad you could victory lap me there.
No, it was funny.
I honestly thought I probably won if you would have asked me.
I'm pretty sure it hit in like the middle of the third quarter. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to text Tony once he gets to like 30 or 40 yards, just be like,
and then he never got any more yards.
And then he never got another catch after that. So
I wish you would have texted me and then he went backwards and lost.
See, that's why I didn't text you though, because I know that shit can happen. So I wait. I wanted him to get a little more. So I
do like him this week though. He's got to be a good spot in here.
You got to think he's going to be used a little bit more too, right?
They trust him. It looked like he was in on the important plays.
That's what it felt like to me. And he ran 17 routes, which, outside of Terry, Ertz, Diami, and Zacchaeus. So he was the fifth guy out there. He ran more routes than Brian Robinson. What sucks about them is they still ran McNichols a little bit, which was kind of annoying. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but like they gave him a few, runs and a couple routes. And I was kind of surprised. I thought it was going to be all B-Rob and Eckler, and it wasn't, which, I mean, it's not a lot, obviously, but still a couple, makes a little bit of a difference when you're looking at these guys. But no, I think it's definitely sets up as an Eckler game from a pass catching standpoint. So yeah, I'm taking Washington with the points. And all right, so we got 2 on Detroit, 1 on Washington. We both think the game goes over though, right? Everyone's on the over.
Definitely over for me. The only way I see it going under is if these teams just have long drives where they go for it on fourth like 4 times and it ends up being an 8-minute drive.
And if they don't get it a couple times too, because that can happen when teams go for it on fourth. Like that can happen where both teams get close and then they miss on the fourth down plays. And
it only takes 1 drive too. I mean, the total's 55.5. I mean,
that's what happened in the Washington-Tampa game. Washington drove the ball all the way down. They got to the 2-yard line, and then they didn't convert, and it was like, oh, okay, there goes my over.
It kills you on the over, obviously. An 8-minute drive where you get no points is just death.
But the one good thing about it is when it's fourth down and 3 at the 40-yard line, there's no bad plays.
No doubt.
There's no bad. It's not like Tomlin who's punting on 4th and inches.
At least you feel comfortable that both these teams, that's their style. You know what I mean?
More tilted that you said Baltimore was the most dominant when Tomlin punting on the 40. I'm even more tilted by that now.
Oh, I totally
that punt.
What was he doing? And then he punted in the end zone. He gained 20 yards.
That punt was insane, man.
I swear to God, no matter what, every postseason, we always see shit like that, and it just never surprises me anymore with these coaches.
That's what makes me happy when these good guys like Campbell and Washington. What's the dude's name?
Dan Quinn. Yeah.
DQ. I mean, just reward them for doing this stuff. Reward them.
When Antonio Pierce's team was playing harder than half the teams on week 17, than half the teams were playing during the playoffs, there's something wrong. I mean, there's something wrong, man.
I think these coaches, they just give their players confidence when they do shit like this, when they are that aggressive. And so I think all the players play up even more than what their actual talent is because of that, because they feel so empowered by their coach. And I think that's what Dan Quinn, I don't know if he learned it from Dan Campbell, like watching Dan Campbell the year before, but like he had a shot before and it didn't work out. And then he got the shot with Washington and he clearly kind of changed the way maybe he looked at things. I have no idea, but maybe it's Jaden too. Maybe Jaden gave him the confidence.
It's so much more empowering for the OCs. I mean, you see Ben Johnson and Kingsbury are two of the most talked about guys. It's so empowering when it's 3rd and 5 and the whole playbook is there. You know, you have a team that like the Steelers or whatever. I don't know. Pick any team, and they're not a team. Todd Bowles team, like whatever. It's 3rd and 5. You know what they're going to do. They're going to drop back and they're going to throw the football. But you don't know what either of these teams are going to do on 3rd and 5 because they can just run a play, and if they get 3 yards, they go for it. 2 yards, they go for it. Like it's not 5 or nothing.
Calling plays like that too, ODB. Like, hey, listen,
exactly.
If we get 3 yards, that's cool. That's what we wanted. We're here. This is 4th and 2.
They play for 4. They play for 4 downs. It's basically their 3rd down and 2nd down.
Exactly.
I like it even more when they're at like the 6-yard line and they're going to just go for it on 4th. It's awesome. Instead of just every team, you're just like, if they don't get it, they're kicking. That's not true with these teams, and I love it.
And by the way, too, I swear to God, if you think this game goes over, Detroit, they're like one of those teams, they like manufacture touchdowns for like all their key guys. So if you think this game goes over, like I do feel like one of the annoying parts about Detroit is that like they try to scheme up plays for like Laporta and Amon-Ra and Gibb. Like everyone kind of like gets their share. That's the one annoying part about DFS, Tony, in overstacking is I do get scared that like it gets. That's true.
Yeah, you also know that you're not going to have a 0. Well, I tell you one bet I saw that I like. I don't know because I don't live in a state where sponsor DraftKings is available, but the big casino here, Circa, I noticed a bet that I really liked. It was highest scoring team of the weekend, and the Lions were like plus 170, and I mean that to me seems like
team on the weekend.
Highest scoring, plus 170. I thought that was a great bet.
That's a great
I don't know if DraftKings has that or anybody else, but
they do.
Plus 170 on highest scoring team. I mean,
you talked about 2 ways it goes under. If they're like crushing on the ground and just dominating, and it's kind of like the Bills where there's not many big plays, but they're just consistently moving the football, that's a way this game could definitely go under. And if you like the over, like I think that's an interesting bet, honestly, like because I do see Detroit running the shit out of the foot, like having success too.
But even when Detroit runs the ball, they run big plays. Their offensive line is so good. Like Detroit is never going to do what Buffalo did. They're never going to be 3 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, 6 yards, 11 yards, 4 yards. They're
going to be more aggressive. I agree. Yeah,
it's not even that. It's just like even their straight handoffs go for 30. Like that's just how they play. It's a fast surface. They
have better skill guys too, right? Exactly. They have better skill guys. Yeah. So, all right. Great.
One thing I like about gambling too is I can put what LDB just said. I can type in there NFL weekly highest scoring team odds. Pops up and you can find the prices at a bunch of different books. They don't have a ton of them up right now, but I do see a few like plus 130s, 150s on Detroit. So in that similar range, but you can type stuff like that in on the Gambly to find it and find the best prices all around where you're at.
Oh my God. They have Diami Brown alt lines on DraftKings Sportsbook too. They're trying to tempt me right now, Tony.
He can't do it back-to-back weeks, can he?
I don't know if he can. Well, he might. Yes, he can. What am I saying? I don't know. He can. He's dynamic. I mean, geez.
He's dynamic.
I mean, I call him dynamic Diami Brown. What do you want? takes tops off and, does all that other stuff. He trucks guys, like truck stick. He trucks guys. Love that.
True.
How can you not go against it?
Yeah,
16
still plus
to 1.
170 on Circa.
16 to 1 for
that.
100 yards for dynamic Diami Brown. So
plus 170 is a sick bet for that.
That's a great bet. Your boy Zacchaeus to get 90 yards, Tony, is 13 to 1.
I think it goes back to Zacchaeus this week, honestly. I like both of them, but I got to go back with OZ, I think. You
should be hitting those props then. He's got some juicy juicy outlines here. But I also too that I think that JMO crushes. I think JMO has a big game. He's the type of guy I feel like is just going to burn. Did you see Lattimore? Lattimore sucked last week. Mike Evans was just tooling with Lattimore. I hope he goes on JMO. Please give me that matchup with no help, Tony. Give me one-on-one with JMO on the outside. I'll take my chances there because I think he'll burn him if they do that. I don't know if he's going to, follow him. He might not follow JMO like he wanted to follow Evans, but yeah, I like JMO a lot. All right, let's go to the first game of the Sunday slate here. Obviously on DraftKings, they have the 4-gamer, the main slate of games, but then they also have the 2 gamers too. But first game on Sunday, we got the Rams, we got the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. It's a 6-point spread right now on DraftKings. It's a 43.5 total. There's going to be some weather. This game is in Philly. It looks like it's going to be snow, and it's going to snow pretty much the whole game. It's going to be cold. That's kind of obvious. It was going to be cold, temps, in the 30s. K. Reed was giving me the overlook of what the weather was looking like for Saturday. So I appreciate that, K. Reed, our resident Eagles backer. Tony, I'll throw this one to you first here. We were both on the Rams side last time out. Can they do it again? Can they shock the world? Can they beat the Eagles? Can they move to the conference championship?
So this game has my favorite bet of the weekend, I think. And it's not the side, though. I think the under in this game. Both these defenses are really good. The Rams defense is incredible right now, and the Eagles D has been one of the best all year. Now we get weather on top of it. The total's still 43.5, right? 43.5. You can even catch 44 a couple places, 43.5. I just love that's what I was laughing at a minute ago. The under is just slam dunk for me. I think both teams like to run the ball, throw short passes in this weather. I love the under, but I also think the Rams, I like the Eagles all year. I don't love the Eagles in these. They looked so bad to me last week. I know they won and they were super physical, but man, I think they hate Hurts. I think the receivers hate him. I don't know. I don't like how Philadelphia.
What gave that away, Tony? Was it their star receiver reading a book on the sideline?
I can't take any team where the star's reading a book on the sideline.
That's what I was thinking.
Special. That'd be like going to the poker table with ODB and he's just reading a freaking book on you. I wouldn't even know what to do. I wouldn't know how to react if he just had
going to the court for some pickup games, and on the side while you're waiting, you're reading the fucking book.
I got next. You just sit over there and you're flipping the book.
Instead of dribbling a ball, you're reading the fucking book on the sideline.
I can honestly say I don't think I've read a book since probably freshman or sophomore year in high school.
I can honestly say that I haven't read a book in my entire life. So get on the train.
Read it on the sideline during a playoff game.
Imagine reading a book and then reading it again. What?
And highlighting it. He had highlighting it and come on. I can't go. I'm out on psychopaths like that reading books.
Just take a picture. Look at it on your phone.
Pulling out a highlighter, by the way, when they're reading. How many guys are doing that? I know the females do it, probably all the time. But how many guys are pulling out the highlighter? Not many that I would know.
It's one thing. Don't get me wrong. If he's trying to improve his mental, he's sitting at home at night. Do what you got to do, Antonio. But you're on the sideline in the playoff
called him
game.
Antonio. You called him Antonio.
You know what? He had a choice. He had a choice. He had a book and he had an iPad where he could look at the plays and the coverages, and he chose to read the book. I mean, that's all you really need, right?
Shout out to Antonio Brown,
AB,
aka
baby.
the best Twitter account follow right now on Twitter, aka X or whatever you want to call it. AB, top Twitter follower. I love AB. Tony just called AJ Brown Antonio,
I've called
and
him
I
out a
am.
bunch too. Actually, I always say Antonio.
Deontay, AJ Brown. Now there's some Antonios, but I think Antonio Brown could still go out there and dust these cornerbacks. I think he'd still go out there and run some routes on these guys. I think he could. I think he's just that type of athlete. He could just get back out there.
You don't like quitters on this show. I
didn't say I like him. I said he could go out and dust corners, like run routes and dust some corners in the NFL. That's all I'm saying. All right. So Rams, Tony, you're taking the Rams.
Under's my play though. It's a weird week for
me
where none of my big bets are going to be the sides of any of these games. I'll still pick them for the show, but none of my big bets are actually the sides. They're the other stuff. I love the under. The under's the play I like the most. But I'm on the Rams if I got to pick.
Well, you got to pick. We always pick on this show. Yep. ODB. Nakobe Dean. It's a big loss for the Eagles for sure. I know you like the Eagles. I know you were big on the Eagles last week. Are you riding back on the Eagles train here? Fly, Eagles, fly.
Well, I got to say I was super impressed with the Rams. And, looking a little more into them, their defense has really, really been good the last half of the season. Not half, but ever since the Bills game. I don't think they've given up double digits yet. I want to like the Rams. I've looked at this game. I want to like the Rams. But everything is just all the intangibles of the actual football is just looks like the Eagles. They're bigger, they're stronger. You've got a dome team from California with an old non-mobile quarterback going to freezing cold Philly. I just don't know, man. Then I look at the fact that I find in these tragic situations where teams have like something to play for, they can get up for 1 week, but then it's kind of hard to ride that momentum and that for another week. There was a lot going on in that Rams locker room and city and everything, and then having to go to Arizona, play a game a day later, have that emotional game, come back. Hard to keep it for another week. JSU is finding some comments really funny, I guess.
No, the Discord, Tony, you got to go in the Discord. Dub KJ just posted something and added us in the Discord. It's currently the book he's reading right now. So he just wanted to let us know.
Manufacturing other pictures. I've seen that one a few times. I do like that one though.
I haven't seen that one. You've seen that one before?
Oh, people post that one all the time. It's like the one where they. That one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I haven't seen it, so it was funny to me because I guess Tony's seen it.
It is a good one, but people do use it a lot. But it's still funny.
All right. Well, let's try and be a little more original, Dub KJ. It was funny to me.
It was funny, but the originality was not as good.
For Tony, for me, it was great because I never seen
the same one that I posted 1,000 times where the dude's peeing and it's got the big old 12-inch shadow and it's like, man,
you have posted that.
Like it's funny still, but it's not original.
All right, my bad.
There's a spider in the toilet. And it's like, man, I can't believe there's a spider there's just a massive shadow hanging right there next to it.
All right, ODB, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I understand the Discord takes precedent over what I have to say. I mean, that's okay. I mean,
I'm sorry. I was on mute laughing for a reason. You didn't have to say anything.
Well, I mean, I'm just sitting here just watching you. What do you think? They're all listening to me. They're watching you like break down like a 7-year-old child who just farted.
Like a child who just farted.
Thank you, DB. I appreciate that. I mean, if you don't love life, then what are you fucking doing? Like, come on. That's the whole point.
I also do post this one where the dude working out has the actual like hammock in the drawers where people think that's fake. I still say that thing is real. That thing is as real as it gets.
Yeah, that one's definitely real.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I've seen that one either.
You've seen it. I've posted it like 30 times. The dude with
Okay.
an actual like just hammer.
I think I try not to like pay attention when you post those type of things. So maybe I just like tune them all out and forget about
I
them.
mean,
when you
the
post them.
thing's like an actually like 16. Like it's just an absolute
16.
sled. I'm not even joking. Like it
can't be real. I'm calling fake. I'm calling
no,
fake.
it's real, but it probably can't move. It just dangles in the wind.
Can't move. Okay, keep going. I don't even know where you were, but keep going.
I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna take the team flying across the country on short rest with a non-mobile quarterback who doesn't play outside in Philly. I mean, all week I've wanted to play the Rams, but I just don't think I can get there. The only thing I'm worried about is the fact that the Rams have probably the biggest coaching mismatch edge ever. McVay is an absolute boss and Sirianni is a clown. So, that's the one thing that worries me, but I don't know. I do kind of think it's a lower scoring game, which I don't like laying a big number. This just leaves me more to that Detroit plus 170. I mean, if you don't think the Chiefs are going to score a lot and you don't think the Eagles are going to score a lot, I mean, you're basically just playing with the winner of the next game. It's just one-on-one for plus money, basically. So, yeah, I don't know. I lean Eagles. This is my least conviction take of all the games. I really want to like the Rams, but I really just don't think I can get there. I really think that it's just got to be Eagles.
All right.
Playoff football.
We got Eagles, we got Rams, tiebreaker for me, and you guys know where I'm going. I'm going the Rams here. We got to stay on the train.
Chiefs are scoring 40, Brad. How the hell are they going to score 40?
That's a hot take. I will say though, one thing we talk about, even in the games that I like the under, I still think like you're going to probably need like in the top scoring team, there's probably going to be a one-off. There's probably going to be like a Worthy or a Nico Collins, like Tony said.
That's how I think you win it. Yeah, one of those guys. Like Nico. The more I think about it, the more Nico's going to be in the winner.
And I think that's how, like Tony said, I think you need to have some of those guys in your pool. You know what I mean? You can still cut off a good amount of them, but like your favorite one
like
from
one.
each
I think
team.
You just play one.
Yeah. No, I'm literally saying like you have one from each of those lower scoring games. You have one from each team.
You're talking the 4-gamer now. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I was
in
talking
the 4-game
Saturday. Yeah.
I'm talking the 4-gamer because it's like the big Millie
like two
stuff.
guys in a defense or something in those other
right.
ones. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, so the key with the Rams, this is the whole key, because I get it. Stafford in the weather, it's not as great, whatever. Jalen Hurts looked a little rusty last week, maybe, another week in practice and stuff like that. He looks a little bit better. I totally understand all that. The key is going to come down to the Rams pass rush. Can they keep Jalen Hurts from running and having those big on third down, getting those first downs with his legs? Because that was something they really didn't have to worry about with Sam Darnold, and they could literally just pin their ears back and rush the quarterback. It's harder to do that, and we saw it with Denver and Josh Allen. They were so terrified. I think they were like honestly too terrified on defense of Josh Allen getting out of the pocket and running and using his legs. They had like multiple spies at certain, like they were so terrified. It actually fucked them up in a way. And I think that's why the Bills had so much success offensively, was they were just so worried about it. In the Rams, I assume that's going to be one of the game plans, is obviously to try and keep Hurts in the pocket and try to force him, obviously to the sides and not letting him just run through those gaps, which he does all the time. They'll design stuff too, where it's just like he drops back and then he tries to run through. And the Rams are one of those teams that it could work against here. So I think that's going to be the biggest key defensively, is can the Rams do that? If they can, right, the rush defense has looked a lot better. The last time they played, I think Saquon ran all over him for like 200 and something. I don't think he does that. That was a crazy game. If Saquon runs for 200 against like any team, they're probably winning those games too. But I'm just going to go Stafford. Stafford, he is the better full quarterback. More experience, Super Bowl champion. I'm going to lean on the veteran Stafford, even though it's not like Hurts is a rookie. He's obviously had a lot of experience too, and in big games and stuff like that. Not saying that. And the coaching mismatch, like ODB said, with McVay over Sirianni, I think that's going to get it done. The Packers did their best to try and keep running the football. I think the Rams are going to do the same thing. I think they're going to have similar success to the Packers, but I think it's going to be enough with Puka making some big plays down the field and a lower scoring game. I think this game ends literally probably 2017, something like that. 17-13, somewhere in that range, lower scoring. I like the under, and I'm going to go with my Rams here. So Rams keep it going. It's unfortunate. I wish the Rams could have played Detroit in this round. That would have been like the ideal scenario, because this is definitely the toughest matchup for them. If they make it past this, I'm super confident in them in the next round against whoever they face. But this will be their toughest spot, but I still like them here. So I'm going with them. Let's go to the final spot. Yes, Mitch, we know you like Philly. We get it. We've seen the Eagle. You've posted the Eagle like 10 times. We totally understand you're on Philadelphia. Baltimore.
23-10.
23-10.
Good call. Thanks for putting it up, JSU. Why don't you give the guy some fucking support?
I fucking just put it up on the
damn. He works hard for fucking Run Pure. He gives you golf winners every week.
Dude, I literally, first of all,
he gives you the soldiers, JSU.
He gives you the soldiers every week. He gives them the 23-10. Let's go.
In this chat, he's posted it 10 times in our Discord. I literally put it up on the screen.
He just wants you to know that that's what he gets.
You didn't put it up on the screen, ODB. Tony didn't put it up on the screen.
I don't have the access. Give me administrator control. I'll give Mitch some fucking run.
Just remember this,
really
Mitch. They
didn't
post it. I did. I posted it on the screen.
ODB has to be able. What happens when you hold it over the chat?
I just want to say I got Patrick Cantley. He is on a run. 4 birdies in the last.
Somebody else on this has a bet against Mitch on Mr. Cantley, I think.
Oh, well, I have Mr. Patrick Cantley, and he is.
I'll just say to both of you that Patrick Cantley's great, but he's not a JJ Spoon, because JJ Spoon just must have an absolute horse. I mean, just Tony, did you see what he did yesterday? I mean, just fired a sick round. What was he, -8? Well,
yeah. Well, he's only 2 shots ahead of Mr. Patrick Cantley right now. He started the day with
Did you say he's 2 shots ahead?
That's it.
Of Patrick Cantley?
Yeah.
Big T told me you couldn't play Mr. Spoon. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, my God. Remind me if JSU ever gets a golf show not to watch it.
Dude,
JJ fucking Spoon?
I will not. I hate you. You want to know one sport that I hate talking about? You want to know? It's fucking golf. I hate talking golf. If I don't have to do a golf show, I would prefer it. I literally hate it. But Mr. Spoon, he had a big week last week. He's having a back-to-back here, so I don't want to jinx it too much here.
I like Spoon better than Buzenhosen.
Buzenhosen's got nothing right now. I don't know why people were talking about Buzenhosen, but that's another thing. Let's get back to football.
This is why JSU is actually good on golf shows, though, because you get stuff like that, like Spoon and Buzenhosen and all the other good pronunciations. It's the best.
Exactly. And the weeks that it works out, it's great comedy. And the weeks that it doesn't work out, it's still great comedy.
He comes in and takes Phil Mickelson in tournaments and stuff.
That's right. You know why? Because we've got to respect the goats that gamble. Okay. And the goats that gamble, we got to put some major respect on. And I love Phil Mickelson because he gambles all the time. True gambler. He's a degen. Love that.
You can still get live on.
Hurts has a schlong based on girth. Eagles roll.
Listen, Stafford, he can definitely get some with the ladies. So.
I might change my pick based on that post. That's a good one.
Listen, Stafford, whatever's working, keep it up, baby. Keep it going. Stafford's old too. I mean, Jalen Hurts is. What is Jalen Hurts? Is he like 26? How old is Jalen Hurts? 27?
If you watch him in like press conference, you'd think he's like 40. The guy just has old soul written all over him.
Yeah, old soul, but he looks like young, right? He still looks like he doesn't look old.
He looks
Jalen
like
Hurts
me
looks
trying to
young.
get off the couch to go get a snack. I mean, he
Jeez.
looks he just
Damn.
like, oh my God, I gotta get up. He
Oh.
looks every time he's on the ground, it's like, oh, I gotta get up
ODB
again.
just compared himself to Jalen Hurts, who at least I put as a pretty sick athlete when it comes to football, and you just compared
ODB
yourself to
over
Jalen Hurts
I got
What?
ODB over him for the record.
as an athlete.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get off the couch for a snack a lot faster than he gets off the turf for another snap. That's for sure.
CTE makes him look young. Okay, well, on that, we'll move to the final game on the slate here. Ravens and Bills in Buffalo. It's a 1.5 point spread, 51.5 total. I think this is the AFC Championship game. I think these are probably the two best teams in the AFC. Someone said Zay Flowers doubtful, and then I just saw something with John Harbaugh saying Zay Flowers availability. I think he'll have a chance. So I don't know. I haven't seen. Oh, okay. Here it is listed as doubtful. 33 seconds. Okay, so I saw it.
Chris Henry didn't watch the show Monday, I don't think, or he's just stirring the pot. He might be stirring the pot.
Guarantee. Big T had a guarantee that Cooper Kupp would not be on the winner.
He had one catch. I mean, he had a solid game. One catch. That was pretty strong.
I did think it was funny how in the second half, right before that catch, they were like kind of talking about it. And then they said something like how Stafford was like, I'll get you the football or something. He gets one catch. It's like
this week again, people will go right back to him like always, like, oh, I can play Cooper Kupp as a pivot, blah, blah, blah. Not in the main slate, but
I will say Puka was a little disappointing, but their defense was so
just
good.
They were whooping them. They didn't need him.
He didn't. The one thing that's annoying with Puka too, he's one of those guys, Tony. I know he plays through it, but he just always gets nicked up. I feel like he always goes on the sideline. Oh, man, but it's just his style. He's so like he just runs hard and aggressive. But all right, back to the Ravens and Bills here. So Zay Flowers listed as doubtful. I'm going to go under the assumption that he probably doesn't play here, for this team. But it's a 1.5 point spread, and ODB, I'll throw this one to you first. You don't seem very high on the Bills. I think you're a little higher on the Ravens. I think you're kind of on my side with that take. But are you taking them here in Buffalo against the Bills after what you saw against Denver?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be on the Bills. I like the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I mean, I'm just not really that impressed by the Bills, to be honest with you. And I really am impressed by the Ravens. I think the Ravens are clearly the better team. Obviously, it's on the road, so you've got to at least respect what the Bills have. But I think this is just a bad matchup for the Bills. I really think the Ravens are better at everything that the Bills want to do. I think they're tougher, they're more physical. Like when you look at Josh Allen and the Bills, it's like, well, you can give all the edges here, or there's all these different situations, but at least we got this guy. This guy's better than that guy. We have the quarterback over you. And you can't say that here. And look, I was never a Lamar Jackson guy from the get-go. It took me a little while to warm up, then I warmed up a little more, but I'm full-fledged Lamar fan now. I mean, the guy's just really, really good. Does he play traditional football? No. But I mean, the league is not the same as it was. I think Lamar just does everything right. I think I trust Lamar now, and I just trust everybody else. So if we're just going to cancel out Lamar and Josh, which I think you can kind of do, I just like everything else the Ravens do better. I think they're better coached. I think they have a better defense. Yeah, the weapons are not that great on either team when it comes to receivers, but I think that the Ravens know how to use their tight ends. Bateman has been actually pretty impressive. He was a guy that I kind of shit on for a while, like that he would drop like key passes, and who knows? This is a big game, so maybe he gets the drops again. But I don't know. I trust that the Ravens learned from themselves last year and how to game plan, and I just trust them. I trust them a little more, and I think they're just better. And I can't get the early season game out of my head. I know it was a long time ago, and I know that the Bills were missing some players on defense, but I mean that was just a whooping, and the Ravens just find a way to whoop up on teams, and I don't know. I think they do it again. I actually don't think this game is like the game of the year that some people do. I kind of just think the Ravens just win this game. Um, I know the easy play is everybody's just like, oh well, tease one of the favorites down, and you can get Buffalo up over a touchdown. You go through the 3 and the 7. I don't know. I could see the Ravens winning by 10 or 14 here. I don't know. I think that the Bills really work well from ahead when Josh can, just matriculate the ball down the field and run it and all that stuff. But I kind of just think the Ravens might just take care of business here. I think the Ravens might be the best team in the league, and kind of think they might take care of it. And I think they might take care of business. So yeah, I like the Ravens.
All right, so ODB kind of likes the Ravens here. Just kidding. He loves the Ravens. Tony, you got your sheet of paper out. I don't know if you're reading. Are you reading a script or something like that? You got a script ready for us?
I write my bets down as I go, so I don't forget.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, this might be first time in show history. No. Tony's got like a script ready for the people.
I write down winners when I'm thinking about them, or else I forget later.
I love winners.
Pen and paper, baby.
Spencer Smith, you guys, JSU gonna win his UFC fight tomorrow? Yeah, thank you very much. I'm gonna win my my UFC belt tomorrow, so appreciate that. But I actually won't be fighting tomorrow because I'm Armenian, obviously. So I bowed out with a back injury, so I can't fight because I got a back injury. But anyways, back to that. If you want UFC takes though, 8 p.m. tonight. Me and Dan will be live doing the show on this YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that. If you're looking for UFC 311 bets and takes for DFS, we'll be talking that later tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. But Tony, get to this game here. ODB doesn't really think it's close. He thinks it's Ravens and Ravens all the way. I know you've been lower on the Bills, so yeah. I just assume that you're on the Ravens here in Buffalo, but give us the take.
I think this is the easiest side of the weekend as far as the other 3 games are all like bigger spreads too, so it's a little trickier. So this one's the close one, but this game's easy. I agree with ODB. The Bills suck. Their roster sucks. They got Josh Allen. Josh Allen is freaking amazing, and Josh Allen handles a lot of deficiencies, which is why I think he should have been the MVP, stuff like that. We could go back and forth about that too, but I hate the roster. I hate their receivers. I hate their defense. I don't even like James Cook all that much. I'm all Ravens. I think the Ravens handle them. I'm not putting this in. I'm glad ODB said that about the teasers. I'm not putting it in with my teasers. I like Baltimore. I think Baltimore pounds this team just like they did earlier in the year. And I just don't even think it's close. I think it's a total mismatch. I do think Lamar and Josh Allen are very close. If they switch sides, like just randomly, it would be the same thing. Lamar would have the same issues Josh Allen has. He's got a much better roster and a better coaching staff around him. I feel like it's a gift getting this at under 3. I feel like it's a total gift. Easy play. Like I just love the Sunday 2-team parlay. Under, that was what I was writing down because it's going to be a big bet. Under in the Philly game, Baltimore, money line. Like just easy peasy. I absolutely love both of them. I do agree also with ODB that I don't think this game is as good as people think fantasy-wise either, which is why I want to lean on that Detroit game in the 4-gamer big time, which a lot of people will, but I do think people are going to play guys in this game. Like Tupac's going to get a lot of ownership. I'd much rather play Detroit guys than him. Buffalo still has so many guys they can throw to. I just don't love this game. So I think Baltimore handles them. I think Derrick Henry runs on them. I think they hit the tight ends. I love Andrews and Likely. I mean, I think this game is slam dunk city, Baltimore.
Yeah, most interesting thing from the Bill side is Curtis Samuel ran 43% of the routes, and pretty much like outside of Shakir, all the receivers ran under 50% of routes, and they all kind of did the same. You know what I mean? So like Amari didn't get like a massive bump. Like Matt Collins ran around 43%. That was kind of interesting to me, but it just kind of shows how tough the Buffalo receiver is, Tony, to your point with like Shakir. And if any of these guys are getting ownership, like they're tough plays because all these guys are playing. They're playing, you know, Dawson Knox a decent amount, Amari Cooper, Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir. They got a lot of bodies. But back to this game, I'm all over the Ravens side. And, obviously pick the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl. I think that the Ravens win this game. I think Derrick Henry is the reason why. I think they feed him. I think he's the best running back play on the slate. I think he smashes here. Either him or Justice Hill, because I'll tell you right now, if Derrick Henry doesn't have a big game, Justice Hill will. They used Justice Hill a decent amount out of the backfield too, ran a bunch of routes. And he's 4,800 still on DraftKings, which, PPR heavy. Him. I think Ty Johnson is interesting for DFS too on the other side, just because I think the Bills are going to trail in this game most of the game. So I think it's going to set up for him. And Josh Allen thinks super highly of him, called him the best third down back in football, which is neither here nor there. But definitely they trust him in big spots and in big third downs. So I like the running backs a lot in this game, especially the Ravens running backs. I think both guys are in play. I can even play them together. That's on the 4-gamer, but I think at least one of those guys smashes here. And I think the Ravens win by double digits. So
Let me ask you a question. So I was putting together, I've put together a couple lineups, just kind of, I like to, just to get my thoughts together. I like to see how they all jive together. And one was where I wanted a punt running back, and you got all at the same price. You got Eckler, Johnson, and Justice. Where are you leaning? I was thinking Eckler just to get more pieces of that game, but if you like Hill and you like Ty Johnson, which one do you think there?
I think I would lean Justice Hill. I think his role is like for sure the best. Like passing scenarios he's going to get, but then he gets those random, good rushing scenarios, because whenever he comes in the game, teams are more expecting pass than run. So he'll get those really friendly boxes that Derrick Henry never gets, right? Like he never gets those friendly boxes. And so like Justice Hill can have those random rushing games, not just receiving games. I think his role is the best. I think he's the best third down back out of those three too. The Washington situation, I feel, is the best game situation. I hate that they used McNichols a little bit. Jaden still takes a ton. Like, I don't know. I would probably rank them Justice and then Eckler, Johnson, if you made me rank them. Tony, I don't know if you have a take on those three guys.
It's Eckler for sure for me. Justice would be number 2, and Ty definitely a distant third. But that being said, I mean, Ty Johnson definitely has upside, though. Like if you're playing multiple teams, I think all three of these guys, honestly,
Ty Johnson ran as many routes as Matt Collins, Curtis Samuel, more routes than Cooper by one, and ran one less route than Keon Coleman. Yeah. They trust him. they like him a lot.
The trend has been, though, I'll just say, the trend at the end of the year, into the playoffs, I'm not a huge trend guy, but it's happened every week, is these stud running backs it's just killing you if you don't play the Gibbs, the Saquon, the Henry, the Kyron, the James Cook. It's really hard lately. These guys just get there. And it took me a while to learn my lesson, but I have, and it's one of the reasons I did good last weekend. I just probably am going to play Gibbs for sure. And then Henry, Barkley. If I played one of the cheapers, it would probably be in the flex, honestly. And it makes it tough. Two-gamer, though, I like
do that. I think you can do that, though, because I do think you can play 3 running backs on this slate. We've got these running backs on this slate are some of like the best running backs in football. I mean, we got absolute sick running backs on this slate. So, all right, those are all 4 games. All 3 of us on the old Ravens train. So that's an interesting shakeup on this show here. All 3 of us on the Ravens over the Bills. Bills favored at home. That should be a good one.
Bills. I think the Bills are like super overrated. It's just Josh Allen. He's friggin' amazing.
Yeah, he's very good. All right. And I don't think the Bills are going to be able to dominate the line of scrimmage like they have. Like the Ravens, I think, are one of the few teams that I think give them problems in that area because of how good they are up front. Kind of like the Eagles are dominant up front. They dominate. Like, I don't think they do that to the Eagles. There's a few teams in the league that are just bad spots. I feel like the Ravens are one of them.
My boy Matus, like, how are you still talking about? You don't see the Tupac comparison? Huh? We're not talking about the way he looks, goofball. Like, what are we talking about here? Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
He must be new to this show. I'll just say that. It must be new to the show. Damn, Big T dropped a couple point for me. LOL.
I mean, come on, like, come
on. Big T dropped a point. I love that. All right, that's all 4 games here. Guys, so before we get out of here, do you want to give like a play of the day, a bet of your favorite bet of the week? What do you want to do before we get out of here? Because this is new waters. You guys want to give like your
tell us what you want from us.
Well, all right, let's do it. Let's give our favorite bet, and let's give like any bet. It can be a side, it can be a prop, whatever you want. Let's give a favorite bet, and let's give your favorite DFS play. It can be anyone you want as well. So, ODB, I'll throw it to you first. Give your top bet, and then give your favorite DFS play.
I'll take the Ravens as my favorite bet. And favorite DFS play, I'll probably just say McLaurin, just because I feel like the Lions are going to score every time, and I don't really trust anybody else on the Redskins. And so
you called them by the right name that time. Good job. Yep. I love that.
Yeah. So I would think Terry's kind of locked in because I'm just going to be heavy on that game. I'm going to have a lot of Detroit pieces. But at the end of the day, I don't really know which one's going to hit, but I don't really trust any of the Washington pieces. I like Eckler. I like Zacchaeus. I'd probably just fade Diami, to be honest. I know JSU loves him, but he really hasn't been that involved. I think he just kind of found a couple good openings, had a good thing, but Zacchaeus to me has been way more involved at the end of the season. So if I have to go a spot, I would go him. But I just know in this type of situation, I mean, it's players over plays, and Terry's the player. So if they don't find Terry, I mean, he can just get there so many different ways. He can get there in a trailing script. He can get there to get at, if it's a good game. So I like Terry, and the Ravens would be my 2 favorite plays of the week.
All right, Big T, you want to give your top bet of the week and your top DFS play?
Yeah, so the 2 bets that I'm highest on, I'll give 2, but the one I already said is the teaser, the Chiefs. It's a chalky public teaser. I know it is. Everyone's going to be on it, but whatever. Plus 160, Chiefs minus 2.5, Detroit minus 2.5, Ohio State University 2.5, plus 160. And then the lesser one's just the 2-team parlay on Sunday that I talked about. The Rams under, the Rams game under, and then Baltimore money line. I haven't put the odds in yet what that pays. Let me see real quick just so I can be clear. So the under 43.5 and the Ravens money line plus 250. So two dog parlay / teasers. My favorite play, the funny thing is I was going to give McLaurin for my play of the weekend too. It's got to be someone in that game. I'll actually go Jamison Williams on the other side, 6,100. I think the price fits. I think the upside fits. I think he can house one. I like his matchup. I think Amon-Ra gets there too. Like Amon-Ra is only 1,100 more than J-Mo. So Amon-Ra is going to be way higher owned for good reason too. Obviously, I love Amon-Ra. He's going to be chalky. So I'm not saying I don't like him. I like playing both of them together even. But J-Mo at 1,100 cheaper could come in at like 10% owned on this slate with all the upside in the world. So, because people are going to play Laporta, Amon-Ra, Gibbs. Think about that. That's where you get an advantage slamming this game or over slamming it, because literally everyone's going to play Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Laporta at these prices. They're all going to be 50% somewhere in there. Throwing J-Mo in there makes you different. So I like J-Mo as the play, and I still like our thoughts of playing a Nico on the 2-gamer especially. I don't know if you can do it on the 4-gamer, but the 2-gamer on Saturday, I like the Nico idea a lot.
All right. I like that. Super Bowl predictions, Jerry. We did that on the last Print Factory on this YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch that. I mean, I can give you the quick rundown here, but we went through the entire playoffs and gave our like bracket, I guess, for winning. But let's see. ODB had, I think it was the Ravens in Detroit winning. Tony had the Chiefs and the Lions with the Lions winning. And then I had the Ravens and the Rams with the Ravens winning. So those were our Super Bowl predictions that we did before last week's games last week on Friday. But my play of the day is going to be Mr. Derrick Henry coupled with the best bet, which is the Baltimore Ravens to win that game outright here. I'm riding with ODB and the big dog. The big dog's running for 100, probably 150, 2 tutties. We're going big with the big dog here. So I'm all over Mr. Derrick Henry. I think they give him another 24 to maybe even 30 touches if they need it, and he crushes. So, all right, guys, hope you enjoyed this edition of the Print Factory Show. If you did, just hit the like button. You can check us out over at runpuresports.com. RPS 15 will get you 15% off a week, a month, whatever you decide to try out. Get in the Discord if you do. People are talking sports all throughout the day and night in every sport too. MMA, golf, NFL. It's not just NFL. NBA is going every day. People are talking sports in there. Get in the Discord, chop it up with us, hit us up with any questions you have. That is the benefit of having the Discords. You can at Big T, you can at myself in the chat. Hit us up in DMs, obviously. Any questions, we're around. Ask away. So RPS 15 will get you that 15% off your first week or month. All right, we're going to get out of here. There will be a show tomorrow on this channel, 11 a.m. Eastern time with the crew. I think it's like a 4-man booth. I forget exactly who's going to be on there, but I'm pretty sure it'll be a big show. 11 a.m. Eastern time, they'll be going live. So enjoy that one. For Big T, ODB, and myself, JSU, good luck in your DFS and bets. Until next week, we're out of here.